Hello, my name is Kayleen Reusser. I'm the author of 12 books of World War II stories based on my interviews with 260 World War II veterans. I'm here each week reading a story to you from one of the books about one of these amazing veterans. Today's story is taken from Book 1 in my World War II Legacies series called We Fought to Win. American World War II veterans share their stories. Today's story will be about Vernon Kaehr, who served in the Army in Europe. And before I go any further, I want to say thank you to the veterans who have served our country and those who are active. We wouldn't be free without you. Part of my responsibilities with the 44th Infantry Division, 3rd Battalion, 114th Infantry, was to pick up the dead, said Vernon Kaehr of Bluffton, Indiana. He was stationed 1/2 mile from the front line of battle along the Maginot Line in France in 1944. The Maginot Line was a series of concrete fortifications and obstacles France had constructed along its border. Unfortunately, the country had still been overtaken by Germany. Fierce battles ensued as the United States and other Allied countries tried to liberate the French people. Kaehr was born in 1923 in Ferndale, Michigan. His family moved to Bluffton when he was a young boy, and he graduated from Lancaster High School in 1942. He was drafted into military service with the U.S. Army in February 1943. After passing a physical examination at Fort Benjamin Harrison in Indianapolis, Kaehr was assigned to the Infantry 37 millimeter Anti-Tank Regiment and sent to Fort Lewis in Washington for basic training. We were trained to shoot M1 carbine rifles, he said. Upon being granted leave in September of 1943, Kaehr returned to Bluffton to marry his high school sweetheart, Mary Ann Steffen. The couple drove to Fort Lewis, where Kaehr was transferred to the supply department. I helped the sergeant locate items our soldiers needed, such as weapons, parts, and boots, he said. At times, he also worked as a weapons repairman. Mary Ann found a job in the shipyards, riding a bike to deliver messages between offices. A few months later, Vernon was sent to Louisiana for special training, and Mary Ann returned to Bluffton. At Camp Champney, his pack weighed 30 pounds, including his rifle. At night, we ran 20 miles with our packs, he said. In October 1944, Kaehr's troop ship left Boston Harbor, bound for Cherbourg, France. During the 10-day crossing, many soldiers were seasick. Kaehr escaped the malady, but was aware the ship was a target for German subs. Our ship dropped depth charges looking for the enemy, he said. We traveled as part of a convoy with other ships for protection. In France, the troops moved to the Maginot Line, then Germany. It was winter, and the Army stayed alert for screaming Mimes, the nickname for German rocket artillery. Once, a shell landed 15 feet from Kaehr, but didn't explode. Another close call occurred when a jeep he was riding in flipped after being shelled. Kaehr was struck on the chin by a piece of ice, but was otherwise unhurt. He witnessed an American Army sergeant die while trying to demonstrate how to defuse a German mine. 2 other soldiers standing nearby were also killed. They were good men, he said. Still another crisis occurred when a plane Kaehr was riding in was shot down over Germany. He and another soldier survived but were stranded in an abandoned village. With no provisions and little knowledge of the area, the two scrounged for food. Kaehr knew how to dress a chicken, so after catching a loose hen, he prepared it, and the two ate, along with apples from a nearby tree. Eventually, they made their way back to Allied lines. For a year, Sergeant Kaehr traveled with his regiment through France, Germany, and Austria. By the time the Allies crossed the Danube River in spring of 1945, Germany was on the retreat. Mary Ann wrote letters daily, and Vernon replied, though parts of his missives were censored or blacked out to keep the enemy from knowing the Allies' plans should the letter fall into the wrong hands. Kaehr was in a village in southern Austria in May of 1945 when Germany surrendered. He was shipped back to the U.S. and stationed at Fort Smith in Arkansas on August 9, 1945, when the Japanese emperor surrendered. It was a relief to know we would not have to fight in Japan, he said. Kaehr was discharged in November of 1945. Among his souvenirs were a German helmet and pistol, Nazi flag, German medal, and uniform. He owned a dairy supply business in Bluffton before retiring. Vernon and Mary Ann celebrated 70 years of marriage in September of 2013, and they were the parents of 4 daughters. If needed, I would go into the service again, he said. So that's a story of Vernon Kaehr from Book 1 in my World War II Legacies series called We Fought to Win. American World War II Veterans Share Their Stories. My name is Kayleen Reusser, and each week I bring you a different story from one of the 260 World War II vets I've interviewed. Thanks again to the vets watching this, and to your families, and to our active military. We're so proud of you. Thanks for all you do. Please subscribe and tell others about this channel. Take care.